Alright guys, so I have now got this new stator in. I'm going with a Cycle-Electric stator. Here is information. So I'm going over from a Harley to Cycle-Electric. As I don't know if you guys know or if I mentioned already, but Harley doesn't warranty their electrical parts. So I went with Cycle-Electric since they do warranty their parts. So here it is. Here's a little part number if you want to check it out, or maybe this one. So I'm opening it up. I bought this from a local shop. You can order yours online, but I went with a local shop here in my town, and I was able to get one. So you know, here's some information about it. Here's a new stator. Comes with new hardware as well, some new bolts. So that is good. The Harley one didn't give me new bolts, but it's nice to see that Cycle-Electric does. This is my first time going with Cycle-Electric, and you know, so here's a new one. You know, same connection, same stuff. So I'm gonna be installing this onto my bike right now, and I'll see you guys in a bit. But first things off, Cycle-Electric. This is a pretty good stator. I like how it's made. You like really feel the quality of it. So yeah guys, let's continue on with the project. So according to Cycle-Electric, they say to install it from 50 to 70 inch-pounds, and for these screws here. So I set my torque wrench here at 60 inch-pounds, and basically I'm gonna be installing it, and that one's good. Same thing, like crisscross pattern. And just tying it just like so, and after you torque them down, you should be good to go. Again, tighter. There it is. All right guys, so again, double check everything, making sure they're still of the torque spec. That's always good practice. And once you got everything nice and torqued down, then you should be good to go. I have now cleaned up my rotor here. I cleaned it out. I hit it with a compressor, as well as some magnets, some Q-tips to get inside the little grooves here, soft towels. I took out the majority of it. There's still little bits of it, like looks like a little pixie dust, but unfortunately I couldn't get all of it out. And I just took out the majority of it, so I feel better now putting this back on. So you know, there's not as much metal in here as there was. So now I'll be reinstalling it. So when you go back to reinstall it, you want to make sure that you install it nice and smoothly. You don't want it to go in fast, because you know, you don't want some of the magnets from the rotor to get caught up on the stator. So you want to go nice and smoothly, like so. Now that's on there nice and smoothly, it's all good. So now I'm gonna continue on with the project. All right guys, so now what you got your torque wrench dialed in, you want to do it in the same torque sequence as the book says. So starting with this one would be your number 1, then 2 is right here, 2, number 3, number 4, and then the 5 last one. So now that I got everything dialed in, going over one more time to make sure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright guys, so next thing I'll be doing is installing the primary chain onto my bike. I have already installed a starter. Pretty straightforward, just tying these 2 bolts in and you're good to go. The book calls for 100 foot-pounds of torque for your compensating socket. Sprocket bolt, my bad. So now we're going to be doing that next. So 100 foot-pounds right there. So now that you got that, torque down. Next step is to loosen the bolt 1 full turn. One full turn is right there. All right, so the next step is to tighten it 140 foot-pounds. Hopefully you can see it there, 140. So now with that set up, going back in. First steps first, readjust your handy dandy locking tool, just like that. And let's start tightening it. Just like that, 140 foot-pounds of torque. Alright guys, so next thing we'll be doing will be the clutch nut. So it says here, tighten it to 70 to 80 foot-pounds of torque. I have set it at 75, somewhere in the middle. Alright guys, so do remember that this is right hand threaded. So instead of going to the right to tightening it, go to the left tightening it. And so here goes tightening the clutch nut. $75 foot-pounds torque. And just like that, you should be done. Okay, so the next step will be now to install their tension, your chain tensioner in this shoe right here. Again guys, inspect this, see there's not too much of a wear. Mine looks okay. Keep in mind how these came off. If you notice, you'll see like a little groove in here, and the other side is flat. So this little groove is going to want to go inside here. This part is the one that goes inside your primary. Another purpose, nice purpose of having this zip tie is because you remember which side it went. So essentially just do this and pop it in place and install your bolts, as well as add a little Loctite in it and tying it to 15 to 19 foot-pounds, as the book calls it right there. Right here, 2008 to 2010, so mine's 09, 15 to 19 foot-pounds is the torque spec for your chain tensioner bolts. Alright guys, so now that I've installed the bolts in, I've torqued them down, I'm be cutting the zip tie here from the shoe so it could be nice and good to go now. And the next step I'll be doing is installing the push rod that goes in here from your clutch lever to your clutch hub. And so here it is. I'm gonna be putting a light coat of primary fluid on it just so I can lube it up. And once I got that in, I'm gonna be putting in the clutch adjuster and I'll be adjusting my clutch. Alright guys, so next thing I'll be doing now is adjusting your clutch. So essentially, once you got the snap ring in, back in place, the whole assembly, what you want to do now is slightly twist the adjuster until you feel it seat into, until you feel it like seat into the other side. So just until you feel like it starts getting tight, you want to leave it there. So now that you leave it there, the book calls for backing it out half a turn to a full turn. So it should look like something like this. So here's my position of the wrench. So since it took half a turn to a quarter of a turn, I'm gonna go somewhere in the middle. So here is half a turn and a full turn is right here. So that's one full turn of backing it off. I'm personally gonna go somewhere between 3/4 of a turn, somewhere in the middle, and I'm gonna leave it here somewhere in the middle, like right about here, I'd say. So I'm gonna leave it there. Without moving the adjuster, I'm gonna tighten my clutch nut, my locking nut, just like that, and you're good to go. Now that you got your clutch adjusted properly, next thing to do is go up on your clutch adjuster right here on your lever, and what you want to do is pull it, make sure that's a firm, your clutch cable is firm. And when I look down here, before you put on your primary cover on, is make sure that's doing its job. And you see here, you can see that the clutch is engaging and disengaging. So that's how you know that you've done it properly, as well as make sure you have your proper play up here too. I'll be running this AMSOIL synthetic V-twin 20W50. Be using this oil for this project. I'll be using this filter here. This filter, I've been using it for about 2 years now. My local shop here in my town sells these filters, and he's been selling me these. I haven't had a problem with these so far. They're good. And so this is basically what it is. It's the oil filter. It's a part number if you're interested in that. Hopefully you can see it. Alright guys, so now I'm gonna start by lubing up the O-ring here. So basically get a tad bit on your fingers of the new oil. Basically what you want to do is lube up the O-ring, lube up some threads in here. Pretty straightforward, not too complicated. And as well as you want to add some oil in here just to get the filter started, just like that. You don't need a whole lot, and just basically just move it around just like that. Again, make sure the threads are nice and oiled up, as well as this O-ring right here. Once you got that lubed up, then pretty much this filter is good to go now. Pretty much good to go to install it, and that'll be it. Now remember guys, once you install this filter, you don't want to over tighten it. Just hand tight, or once you're using like a wrench, go in like about a quarter maybe. Once it gets tight, you don't want to over tighten it, as you will damage this O-ring. You can see here I just installed my new oil filter in. Remember, not too tight. I also went ahead and installed a new rectifier. Hopefully not too dark in here. So essentially when you plug these in, I'll get my flashlight real quick. Alright guys, so essentially once you plug these in, what you want to do is make sure you put these plugs in all the way in as much as you can. And as you do that, there's gonna be like a little clip here, right here. And once you put all the way in, you just want to put them inside, like clip them in to keep them in place, and they should look like something like this. So yeah guys, so once you do that, you pretty much just put it up here, and you're pretty much done with the rectifier and your charging system, and continue on with the project. Once you install your rectifier and everything, it should look like something like this. Remember guys, put Loctite on your bolts as always. So once you got that down, put your piece up here, the cover, and you're pretty much good to go. So now I got the oil tank installed. Put the plastic piece right here where the cables go. Make sure that everything goes back in the same way they came out. The next thing I'll be doing now is installing these bolts back here, the mounting bolts. So I'm gonna be doing that right now. Alright guys, so now I've installed the oil tank in. Before you install the oil tank, don't put any hardware on there like bolts yet, as it will give you space to maneuver your tank around, move it around, so you can adjust it, so you can connect your oil lines. And again, remember guys, you just push them in, they should snap in. Alright guys, so now I finished up putting the bolts in for the oil tank from back here, and as well as the next thing I did was put the plastic stuff right here, this protector. So I might as well I put the bolt in right there, put Loctite, and tighten it up, and you should be good to go. Install this distributor ignition stuff back on, put this cover on, as well as this bracket that goes right down the middle. I've installed that too. Remember guys to there it is. Remember guys, if it don't feel right, it's probably not right. Massage it in. If it doesn't work, readjust yourself. Next thing we're doing, since I got the primary cover on already, everything's loose, hand tightened. So my torque specs calls for 108 inch-pounds to 120 inch-pounds, and on my cover. So because of that, I'm gonna have to follow this diagram right here. You want to go in the same specific order as your book tells it to. This one, it just tells me mine. Yours may or may not be different. As you can see here, here's a different type of primary cover, so use your best judgment, see which one is yours. This one will be under mine, so follow the same one, the torque sequence, as long as the torque spec. Primary case together, everything has been torqued down in the pattern as the book said. Next thing we're doing is add the oil in there. Remember guys, to make sure you have your drain bolt installed and put your oil in. The book says just until you can see right here under the bottom lip of the opening right here, or just above the diaphragm spring. I mean, just lower, I believe. Just lower the diaphragm spring and you should be good to go. Alright guys, so I have now installed everything as far as the oil tank goes, as well as my computer here. Pretty straightforward. Remember guys, if you guys remember about the pin here, push it back in place and tie in these two bolts right here. I believe they're 10 millimeters. So now that you got all that pieced out together, next thing I'm gonna be doing now is putting my exhaust. So essentially pretty straightforward. Bracket, and then bolt it up to your heads, as well as your O2 sensors if you have a fuel injector. If it's carbureted, but you don't gotta worry about it. Alright guys, so now I have my full exhaust on now. Got the mounting bolts from the brackets both up on top. Bottom here, my bad. As well as the head studs. Got that all tightened down, good to go, as well as the right floorboard. So I'm almost done now. So now what I'm gonna be focusing now is on putting in the battery. I'm gonna install the battery, and remember guys to reroute the same stuff as it was before. Remember guys, if you guys took off your red terminal cable like the boot, make sure to put it back on, because it's better to keep this covered, because this is your positive cable. I don't want to touch ground or touch a metal and be a bad deal. So just make sure you put the boot back on, as well as the boot that's down there connected to your starter. Make sure it's covered also. And battery and oil is pretty much all that's left to do now. Alright guys, so I'm back. I just installed the battery. Battery is good to go. Remember guys, connect it how it's supposed to go. Make sure everything's situated and good to go. Before I put the seat on, we put in the oil. Remember guys, put in the recommended oil it takes. And my personal tip or my advice is always go buy a dipstick and go for a test ride, come back, check the dipstick again, and add if needed. That's my recommendation. The precise measurement for oil is always gonna be your dipstick. The book could say otherwise, but your dipstick will probably be the best option to go with. Alright guys, I got everything settled in now. I got my seat on, oil. Now for the moment of truth, I'm kind of nervous, but here's how I know if this video will work for you. Alright guys, so here it goes.